We will, Daniele and myself, present you an update of, and the description, for some of you who don't know about it, of the Technology Council, the OW2 Technology Council. We will first describe the council itself, right? We will then introduce or remind you about the projects that joined the code base in 2015 and 2016 this year. We will give you a short update about the quality program, which is called OSCAR. Then we will give you an update about the collaborative engineering platform and the whole infrastructure that we run at OW2 for serving the community and helping to build and test continuously the software that you build. And then we'll end up with the OW2 International Programming Contest that some of you will discover maybe. So first of all, we will remind you about the council itself. As you can see, it's a community. The core idea is to bring together hands-on practitioners and open source project leaders of the OW2 project code base together as a community which is both European and Chinese for now. So Daniele is from engineering, IT solutions architect. He's the new chairman of the TC since this year, yeah. Right? And I'm here to manage and organize the council itself. I will let you, Daniele, say just a few words about the collaboration that we've been having this year, which has been very fruitful, right?
Yeah, it was very fruitful, and I expect that it will be fruitful also for the future, because my experience, every technology council meeting, we meet every 2 weeks almost, are chance to learn for each of us, a chance to exchange experiences. And this is a very important factor, because in this way community can grow with the experience of all the participants. And I learned a lot in these few months, because I was elected last spring, and it was a totally new experience for me. And it's also a way to see what the others, how the other make their work in the open source world, and a way to share the value within the open source world. So I invite you, of course, all the project leaders to participate, because I remember you that all project leaders can participate in the Technology Council. Some months ago, we made a survey because there were a lot of people who didn't participate yet in the Technology Council. And of course, the Technology Council is open for all of you. I think it's very important. This. And one thing, another experience was to touch concretely how strong is the collaboration between the management of OW2 and the community. I had a lot of support from Stéphane, from the management, and this is another very strong and important thing for us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Daniele. We're very proud to have you in the Technology Council. You chair it, and you bring a lot of new energy into it and a lot of knowledge as you master measurements, metrics, and all the BI tools that we can put on top of these software engineering assessment tools to bring value to the project leaders. At least this is what we're trying to do, right? So as you said, we are having meetings. What do we do in these meetings? Mostly IRC meeting, right? Online chat discussions every 2 weeks. We have 4 major axes in the TC that you can see on this picture. The first one is to make sure that the project's life cycle is running fine. That is, what are the new projects that we bring in? Do they make sense with respect to the existing community? How mature are they? Can we make them move to the mature level? So this is what we discuss. We also discuss about the tools that support the quality program itself, the OSCAR program that we will remind you about in a minute. We also make sure that the collaborative engineering platform is up to date and cutting edge enough to meet your needs in terms of software engineering. We will show how it evolves. And we're also currently actually working on the programming contest that is currently ongoing. First of all, let us remind you of the projects that joined the codebase this year. You have seen some of them earlier. Warp just joined, as Bruno said, on Tuesday, I think, Monday or Tuesday. We had also Seed Stack last week. We're very proud to have those two. And earlier this year, in the open cloud segment, we had Nano Cloud. Also Prelude in the Prezi initiative, Fusion Directory, Vespa, and MXS Workflow, which is a new workflow engine in the code base because we already had Bonita, which is lightweight and focusing on microservices. It's backed by a German company and is doing business there. We had also 3 new projects recognized as mature. The first one this year was Lutes. The second one quite recently was Prelude, and the last one 2 weeks ago, I think, was Fusion Directory. So congratulations to all of them. And as Professor Wheeler mentioned yesterday about the improvements that the best practices criteria brought to the projects, we will mention just a few words about what's changed the process brought to these projects. First of all, for Lutes, as far as I remember, we made the continuous integration reports more public, right? By the time it was Continuum, so understood it is about to change, or we'll give you, you will let us know. Prelude, same thing, the Billbot reports were, by the time, before getting mature, the project had internal continuous integration reports which were made public during the process, and also the code was submitted to a service by SonarSource, which is called sonarcube.com. It's an online version of SonarCube running free for open source projects, now including Prelude. As for Fusion Directory, also the continuous integration reports became public. The SonarCube reports got also online, and it was a good occasion to integrate the release of PDF documentations within the release cycle and to publish the documentation on the OW2 forge. Now, let us bring you an update about the quality platform itself that is called OSCAR, standing for Open Source Software Capability Assessment Radar. It started as QUAT a few years ago and became OSCAR this year. It features now scorecards emphasizing key scores reflecting the maturity of the projects. You will see them in a minute. And we evolved the underlying model, the open source maturity model, and recently we started to cross-analyze this model with the one of the CII batch program and their best criteria. We presented the program at the FOSDEM and during several App Hub workshops in Europe. Here you can see the new scorecards that we introduced this year as an output of the RISCOS project, featuring scores about license, analysis, quality, and activeness. As for the open source maturity model, it evolved from spreadsheets to web forms, and it includes now new extensions covering cloud deployment. And now we just started, I think, earlier in December to cross-analyze OMM with the best practices criteria. We had a meeting with David and part of the team end of August. So obviously, as far as we can tell, these are the two, at least one of the two major initiatives together also with GitHub, who is promoting a maturity model to cover the project. It's not two major initiatives. So we're comparing them. As far as we can tell, OMM has more an academic background, whereas best practices criteria is more industry-based so far. It has also chosen more closed answers, while OMM focuses on intervals. That is something different. And we identified that OMM covers specifically the standards compliance, the cloud deployment aspect, and the way stakeholders and requirements are managed, while the best practices criteria has a strong emphasis on security and also on static analysis of the code. So we are starting a detailed comparison of the two models the two models. And one of the ideas that came up would be to evolve the open source maturity model of OW2 by taking into account some of the ideas of the best practices criteria, and conversely to contribute to the model from the OMM side. And at some point, in order to emphasize the maturity and the badge that each project gets, we could publish the part of the best practices criteria within OMM directly on the best practices programs through a potential API. Not sure if there is one already, but we can certainly discuss this, I guess. Now, in terms of the ongoing work regarding this quality program, first of all, there is this strong and very powerful idea that got presented this morning around accessibility. Obviously, this is something that has to be taken into account when evaluating the maturity and the market readiness of projects, because as Harmonie Altinier told this morning, we should all consider that accessibility, non-compliance can be seen as a bug somehow. It's not the concern of just the people who are not able to access it, the concern of the developers. So we should put the emphasis on this, and certainly we will include this in the maturity model, and also include the tools for assessing this progress toward accessibility in the OSCAR platform, and enabling you project leaders to integrate the accessibility concepts in your production workflow and measure where you are with your user interfaces with the compliance with accessibility. We also intend to continue our collaboration with the CII batch program by further cross-analyzing the models and by having bilateral contributions. And we will also continue to include new measurements and dashboards for bringing high-level views of the projects.
And in this specific aspect, I think that it's very important to share experiences, because I think that every company has its own experience in measuring quality of its products or its projects. So this is a very critical field where the collaboration between all OW2 members can make the difference.
Indeed. Now let us give you an overview, quick overview of the evolution of the infrastructure itself, which is obviously very important when it comes to software collaborative writing. We've been working on maintaining the existing services, but more interestingly in specifying a new user management service that I will describe a bit, thanks to Fusion Directory. We are in the process of setting up GitLab as a new tool to manage the code. I know this is excited for many of you, and you're waiting for it quite eagerly. We're doing our best to make it reality as soon as possible. And in parallel, we're also virtualizing the infrastructure. And as a matter of fact, it's more related to online collaboration, but we were happy sponsors of the enhancements of XWiki real-time editor, which is developed partly by a team that is represented here. You really should give it a try. It's extremely useful for internal collaboration around a common knowledge base. Quick overview of what we're working on regarding the user management service. We had a legacy infrastructure that you can see here, where the management of users was very scattered. The management of organizations as well, which means that the members cannot update their own data, and that we have an obsolescent registration system. As you can see here, we have 2 LDAPs, several SQL database, so it makes the whole management quite complex. So this is why we, within the TC and the management office, and mostly Martin and also Olive, Martin, who is the sysadmin of OW2, we started a phase where we listed the requirements for a new user management service. We needed and convenient solution to manage OW2 users and groups, which was LDAP based, obviously, because this is a standard for authentication today, with web service endpoints, a modern web UI, and a clear path towards single sign-on authentication and access control. So we evaluated several open source solutions that you can see here. The three main ones were ForgeRock, Glue, and Fusion Directory, and we selected Fusion Directory, which in the meantime became an OW2 project, and we are very happy about it. So the new target architecture is much more simple. As you can see here, all tools get connected to a single LDAP over a Lemon LDAP instance, which will manage the single sign-on. And we use Fusion Directory in combination with a plugin that we sponsored as well to manage the users, the groups, and the organizations in an homogeneous manner directly over a web user interface. So we thank OpenScience for their support, and also Clément Oudot from Savoir-Faire Linux and project contributor of Lemon LDAP for helping us progressively reach this status. What are the next steps? Well, we will bring this infrastructure into production. We will virtualize the OW2 infrastructure, set up this GitLab instance that is being waited for, and we will, as you saw, some of you saw yesterday the presentation of STAMP, this new H2020 project, which is about the automation of tests. OW2 will provide the infrastructure for this project, making it possible to automate further the deployment of containers on demand for testing the OW2 projects or part of them. Last activity that we are working on in the large scope of the Technology Council is the contest. This is an initiative that starts every July since a few years. It is currently ongoing. I mean, the work is finished, but we are evaluating the work delivered by the competing teams, which are mostly from China and working on OW2 projects, but driven by Chinese project leaders at the moment. So we're working closely with the Chinese professors involved, and there will be an award ceremony in October. So, as I said, it's mostly focused on China so far. So, for the contest 2017, an idea that popped up within the Technology Council was possibly to help the project leaders, first of all, to get represented within the Google Summer of Code, which is something that cannot be ignored in the field of initiatives that target students today in the field of open source software. And another idea would be to try to address more the university professors in Europe so that they get to know better the OW2 projects that would be possibly support, training material support for their students, including in the open source school, obviously, and bring the student community closer to ours, both for MOOC and general awareness about the community, and also for direct contributions to the code, if possible. I think we covered it, most of it at least. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you.